That was the management of Sun Pharma, but like we pointed out, while the conversation was underway, the Nifty has gone ahead and hit a fresh record high. Not just that, also hit the 22,800 mark for the first time ever. What marks the moment of celebration? Why do I say that? Because in the very recent past, we saw the Nifty go all the way up to 21,800. So from those levels, it's a near 1,000-point up move that we've seen. And not only has the Nifty moved higher, it's been led higher by one of its biggest underperformers, which is the Nifty Bank. So the Nifty Bank is doing well, up around 700 points. HDFC Bank is doing well. We've seen a big traction come by in all the other contributors as well for the Nifty. Case in point, something like an L&T, which has moved to the high point of trade with a gain of almost 3%. Infosys, we had the management, Salil Parekh, join us for a mega CNBC-TV18 exclusive. A decent weight on the index there as well, up around 1.5%. And Reliance, that too continues to do well. Steady 0.5% gainer since the morning itself. So no real draggers for the Nifty. The ones which are underperforming are the pharmaceutical stocks, which actually do not have as much weight on the index as well. So in cricketing terms, we can say all the top performers of the Nifty going out and getting great starts.
Absolutely, in good form as well, right? Returning to form, if I can say that, because HDFC Bank has been one of the underperformers for the Nifty for most parts of this year. And all of them, Axis Bank, ICICI, HDFC, SBI, 4 among the top 5 contributors on the Nifty are the banking stocks. You can pull up the contributors list as well, and you will get a fair idea of how the banking stocks are leading this charge on the Nifty today, on the weekly expiry day as well. So that is a decisive move on the Nifty that we are seeing courtesy the banking stocks. We'll get some more reactions going as well on this record high. There you can see that the Nifty Bank now heading towards 48,500, which is a bit of a resistance level as it was pointed out earlier. So some banking stocks leading the charge and the Nifty Bank heading towards 48,500.
Right, so let's welcome Gautam Shah of Goldilocks Premium Research joining in. Gautam, you've been fairly, bullish on the way forward for the market. We're closer to 22,800 now, a near 1,000-point rally from earlier lows. I remember you saying that if we don't close below 22,000 for a very long time, there could be a case for an up move. How much more could the up move be for those who would have missed out on the 1,000-point rally?
Hi, Magnum. Thanks for having me. Well, I think with what markets have done in the last 7 days, it's pretty clear what the market feels about the event ahead. And with the participation being as good as it can get, momentum being extremely strong, and in some sense, this new lifetime highs is without any major participation of 3 big heavyweights, which is Reliance, HDFC Bank, and the IT space. So it just tells you that the rally has been quite broadened out. And if these 3 pockets were to start doing well, which is my view, I think we are going to build up on the gain. So as we get into the event, I don't think there is a case for major excitement or major disappointment. I think the market trend continues to be positive. We have our own local, tailwinds that are going our way. So I think we will see higher levels. Just stick to quality stocks. Do not overanalyze and just tag along. I think that's really the key takeaway.
Gautam, good afternoon. Thanks a lot for joining in. You last spoken to us last month and you had mentioned that a close above 22,800 would trigger a very sharp 5 to 6% move on the Nifty. Do you stick to that stance? You see levels of 23,000 and above very soon now?
See, if you look at the last 4 months, we've oscillated in the 1,000-point band of 21,800 to 22,800. There have been 3 or 4 attempts to break out, which did not work out. There were 3 or 4 attempts to break down, which did not work out. And as I highlighted earlier, this is typical consolidation after the kind of runaway rally that we saw later last year. But now I think you have just too many positives coming together with the elections and global markets doing well, China factor coming back, liquidity being very, very strong, and obviously the entire momentum of the market and the confidence of people. So keeping all of these factors in mind and obviously looking at the chart, I believe that this time we will definitely get past 22,800. And if it does happen, you could see a 5 to 700 point kind of a rally. It's not very large in percentage terms, but I think the real opportunity is still in the broader markets where one should be committed into. Well,
broader markets, as we speak, all through today's trading session, they were slight backbenchers in today's trading session. In fact, the Midcap index is up just about 0.5%, even as the frontline indices are well above 1%, for the Nifty Bank above 1.5%. And you have the market breadth, which is still at an even keel, an equal number of stocks which are advancing and declining. Gautam, you did point out that the 3 heavyweights of the market have not done well so far in this rally. What also has happened is that this rally has happened despite the FIS selling in both the cash market, them having near record short positions in index futures, and the India VIX rising because of the event as well. So there are a lot of conflicting factors for the market. Despite the counterweight on the other side, the Nifty is moved higher. What happens when this starts to unwind? Will that be more than the 5 to 7% that you've spoken about? Or could there be a case of a bit of a melt up as well?
See, Mangalam, there are a couple of points that people need to understand. I think historically, I have seen 4 elections, while being at the market. And every single time, 1 month before the election, you see a large rise in VIX. Because there are people in the market, there are large institutions, large corporates who want to hedge their portfolios. And that's probably the reason, VIX has gone up. It's almost like an insurance that a lot of people have taken against their long side portfolio. So don't read too much into the FI, short positions that are there in the market. It seems more from a hedge perspective. But having said that, I think India VIX is now approaching a very important resistance in the form of 23 and then eventually 27. Historically, we've seen in the last 20 years that whenever we get into that band, VIX stops out and then we see a cool off. So what I see post June 4th is that the market is going to go back in a huddle in some sense and we start looking at global markets for triggers. And I think FI selling has really not been a trigger, because if I compare today's bull market to what happened in the past, I think domestic liquidity has completely taken over. And I think this overshadowing is going to continue for months and months to come. So I think things are only going to get better, and we are not richly valued as yet. So I think if you put in all of this in context, the trajectory is up. Magnitude is still questionable.
One final question from my end, Gautam. By the way, just as we speak, the Nifty has made a new high of 22,837 now. Within just a few minutes, a 40-point move on the Nifty. But Gautam, since you were mentioning stick to quality stocks, I was just looking at the top gainers on the Nifty from the 3rd of May, which was the last instance when the Nifty made a record high. It's auto and FMCG are the prominent names, as you can see there. Britannia, Hero, Mahindra and Mahindra. Where among these do you find value, or is there any other sector that you find value now that the market is at a record high?
See, number one, this has become a value market. I mean, the concept of buying growth stocks at any price, I think, has not worked in the last 3 years. It's pretty clear. The market has shown us that in the last few years. And even now, the market is hunting for value. So I think the way I see it over the next 6 months, I think the value is in FMCG. Because it's a sector which has done nothing for the last 6 to 8 months. These are super quality companies. The management commentary is very, very good. And the charts are very well placed. So I'm actually betting for the FMCG index to move towards 50,000. So all the top stocks led by ITC and HUL should do well. This is followed by pharma, which we continue to like. And metals, every time I've been on your channel, I've spoken about it. And I think the best for metals is yet to come. So stay committed in just about every name in the metal space.
All right, FMCG, pharma and metals are the spaces to be in right now. Pharma is on the dip in today's trading session. Metals also a bit on the back foot. But from a long-term standpoint, rather the medium-term standpoint, Gautam believes that the next up move would be led by these 3 sectors itself. Gautam, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for joining in. Congratulations to all the participants for a fresh high on the Nifty. Once again, 22,826 is where we are at. Chairperson of First Global joining in on the phone line. Devina, thank you so much for joining in. We've heard a bunch of bullish commentary that has come in, and it's also at these times where we need to, also not lose sense of perspective. Now that the up move has happened on the markets, where do you see the risks emanating from, and what kind of sectors would you still back despite the rally that we've seen?
Hi, I'm outside, so I can't see your screen, but I bet you have confetti and balloons and so on. But coming back to the market view, my view has been kind of twofold on 2 fronts. One is the medium-term outlook where I remain positive, and one is like a 1-2 month volatility possibility where there is still a possibility of some volatility. So as far as our PMS is concerned, we have hedged ourselves because we always err on the side of caution in case there is a big move, down move at any point. But since we remain positive on a 1-2 year basis, we are fully invested. So we are not in cash because you can't afford to miss out on an up move also. So that's broadly been the case. The other part, which I have been warning about for some time, has been the frothy end of the market. So we have largely steered clear of companies with, let's say, less than 5,000 crore market cap. So that's been the strategy, so as not to get caught out in those kind of areas, because a lot of new investors don't remember how much small caps can fall. The whole index fell almost 80% in 2008-9, fell almost two-thirds in 2018-19. So that's been the broad strategy. In terms of sectors, one sector which I've been speaking about for a long time has been capital goods and industrial machinery, where we've been overweight since October 2021. Most people sort of discovered it about a year ago. But the question now we ask is whether the run is over. We have cut back, but we are still overweight. Where we have been overweight last year and a half has been auto components, pharmaceuticals, some construction. So that still continues even after our rebalance in April. Where we have added in the last month and a half has been metal. So that's broadly in terms of sectoral themes that we are playing.
You know, Devina, we may not be having confetti and balloons right now, but the ones who would surely be having that are the ones who invested in PSUs since last year. What's your call there? Is there more upside left for the PSUs going forward, considering the election outcome and the hopes of continuing of the same government going forward?
PSUs actually, I mean, there are many diverse things in there. So right from the manufacturing companies to the banks to, let's say, the oil companies and all that. So I don't like to talk of it as one big lumpy thing, because our decisions are fairly sectoral and fairly company by company. As far as the election outcome is concerned, I don't think, that should be an overhang on PSUs, logically speaking, because not many of your viewers may remember, they may be too young to remember, but 20 years ago there was a big electoral upset when the NDA government actually advanced the elections by 6 months because they were so confident of winning, and then it was an absolute shock decision where most of the cabinet also lost their seats, and as you know, the market was circuit down, trading was halted, but the market forgot it in like a week's time, and that 1 year was among the best years in the market history. So I think we spend too much time thinking about elections and politics. The market has a logic of its own.
Take that point. Always good to hear the voice of reason and get a sense of perspective. Thanks a lot, Devina, for joining in, bringing us up to speed with all that has happened in the past and reminding viewers that equities, no matter the kind of move that we've seen on the upside, is still a risk asset. So better to err on the side of caution itself. Always a pleasure listening to you, even more so when the markets are moving the way they are. 22,830 on the Nifty. What we'll do is we'll take your leave on the equity part of the show right now. Come back on the other side. Manisha Gupta joins in with all things commodities.